Welcome to Heath's house, where we do a little bit of everything all the time, and it usually turns out right. Right now, I'm doing some homeschool with my little one, and I gotta get dinner started prepped. So we are gonna do pasta with mushrooms, and then we're gonna toss that all with a bunch of vegetables, some basil, and some pesto. Should be very delicious, and then we're gonna follow that up with a dessert of strawberries, mango, and blueberries. That should be very tasty. So looking forward to that, looking forward to dinner tonight, and stick around and I hope you enjoy it. All right, so for dessert, we're just putting a bunch of fruit in a bowl, and then we're going to putting a bunch of fruit in a bowl, and then we're gonna put some honey on top of it and call it a day. Maybe put that on some vanilla ice cream. That actually sounds very delicious, doesn't it, Heath? So we got our mango first. My kids love mangoes, like a lot.
Liam does it.
Liam doesn't. The rest of them love mangoes. And we made a mango syrup the other day. Now, I only recommend this if mangoes are on sale for a really good price, because it took like 3 mangoes and it didn't make a ton of syrup, but it was the most delicious syrup that I think I've ever had. It tasted like you were just eating mango. Now, you could cut these with a knife and it'd be a lot faster to peel a mango, but I find that when I use a knife, I get way too much mango off, too much of the flesh. So I use this. Gotta have a good grip because it is slippery. They're clues? Are they clues on how you're supposed to be adding right now? Fairly certain he thinks he can't get in trouble if I'm on the video. I don't know if that's true or not. Oh yeah, this is a good mango.
Can I have a bite?
Yep, hold on, let me wash my hands. There you go. Here you go. Alright. I'm just gonna dice these up so they'll fit on a spoon with other fruit. Be careful when you're cutting the mango. This one's pretty ripe, but not overripe, so it's not too slippery, but you get a good ripe mango. Those things are slippery. You can have another piece. Here you go. Hopefully we have enough to last for dessert tonight. So now I'm just going to top some strawberries. Maybe slice those up. But I guess I'll have the blueberries now. There's 1 mango, like a cup of blueberries, and I'm going to put this whole pint of strawberries in. You want a strawberry? All right, well, got 3 strawberries left, 2 strawberries left. I'm gonna sprinkle some honey on top of this once I'm done. And then I'm just gonna put this in the fridge. I'll stir it every once in a while. And then that'll be dessert. Like I said, we'll put on top of some ice cream. If you got some pound cake, oh, that'd be delicious on top of pound cake. Oh, I might have to heat this up a little bit. Yeah, that honey's stuck. Oh. Whoever got into this honey last did not clean the rim off before they sealed it up. So this honey is from Jen and Catherine Springs. Let's see if I can show that here. I should put that in the link here. But this is where I get my bees from. The ones that are outside right now, tucked in for the winter. And this honey is delicious. So I'm putting a heaping tablespoon. Doesn't need a ton. This has got some great flavor.
Some honey?
Yep.
Yay. Honey, honey.
Clean that off a little bit so it's easier to get next time. But yeah, I'm actually not sure if they ship. They're local here, but if they do, this is some delicious honey. All right, so this right here is, we have a couple of these left, but that's all that's left in this jar. Number 5 wants some honey, so I'm just gonna let him finish this off. If you wanna go grab a, oh, there's a spoon right there. So yeah, I'm just gonna stir this up, put it in the fridge, and I'll stir it every once in a while. It'll sit in the fridge for a few hours, and by the time we go to eat it later, it's gonna be very good. So you can have a see. There you go. About as fresh as it gets. Yeah, so I called Liz and I asked her what she wanted for dinner. She said she didn't care. She just was kind of hungry for some pasta and mushrooms. So I have these big ones here. I'm gonna dice these up fairly large. And then I'm gonna put them in here on a low heat. Probably about 2 tablespoons of oil. That's a bit warm. Normally, I do this with butter, but we've had a couple of people ask for vegan things, and so I'm gonna try to do this vegan. Which should be pretty easy because it's just pasta and vegetables. Alexa, stop timer. So that's the second fold on the focaccia bread. So once I get these mushrooms mixed up, I'm gonna go fold that. So these mushrooms are gonna take the longest. The rest of the vegetables are pretty fresh when we eat them, but I try to cook these down a little bit. So this is probably gonna take, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. We'll see. The next timer should go off for the last fold in 19 minutes. It's been about 5 minutes actually. The mushrooms have pretty much absorbed all the olive oil, so I'm gonna add some more. Probably another tablespoon or so. And don't worry about getting too much oil in here, because once you're done and you're tossing all this in the pasta, you may have to add more oil anyways. So all you're doing is seasoning the oil so it has a nice flavor to it when it goes into the pasta. And in the meantime, I'm gonna dice up these. So the pesto has some garlic in it. So I'm not gonna use a ton of garlic. Then I've got some shallot. And so that'll go in first. Once these mushrooms get almost all the way down, we'll add the shallots and garlic. And then we will add the pepper. Let that cook for a few more minutes. And then the tomatoes and green onions will go in last. And that's only going to be in there for a minute or two. That's just to heat them up a little bit. But we want those fresh. And there's no real recipe for this. You can kind of see the amount of ingredients I'm using. But Liz just said she wanted mushrooms and pasta, so I'm making something that I'm pretty sure she'll like. And you can use onions for this. Liz doesn't really like onions unless they're cooked all the way, which means they would have had to go in before the mushrooms. shallots just give it a really nice flavor. I love the taste of a shallot. And in a lot of meals, you probably wouldn't taste the shallot, but in this one, you will. So I'm dicing these up nice and fine, because these are only going to be mostly cooked, not all the way cooked. So I don't want anything to just have this giant chunk of shallot flavor. Frozen, so my chickens are going to love all these vegetables. Well, the vegetable parts. So I'm using one whole red pepper for this. And I'm cutting it up fairly small. I don't want anything to be bigger than the mushrooms. And while they're big right now, they're going to render down quite a bit. So and for the tomatoes, I'm probably just going to cut most of these in half because they're not that big. But like I said, these are only cooking just briefly, so they should have a lot of fresh tomato taste. And then for the green onions, I'm actually only going to use these the green part, because I just want a little bit of that flavor. And that's going to go in at the same time I do the tomatoes. That's probably about 2 tablespoons, I guess. All right, so all the vegetables are prepped. Now I just have to put a pot of water on, and we'll boil the pasta at the very last minute. So it has been about 20 minutes, and these are almost done. Some of them are still pretty big, and some of them are starting to render down pretty well. But we don't want them all the way gone, so I'm going to add in the garlic and shallots now. And I'm probably going to add in a little more oil. And a little bit more oil. So this process is going to take about 10 minutes, give or take. I'm going to do these the garlic and shallots just until they start to soften up a little bit in here. And then we'll add the peppers. We'll do the peppers for another 2 to 3 minutes, and then the tomatoes and tops of the green onions will go in. So I'm going to turn it up a little bit now. And this smells good. I will add a little salt to this, maybe even a couple dashes of pepper, but not much. But the vegetables are going to add most of the flavor, and then that pesto is just going to give it a huge kick. So this doesn't need a ton of extra seasoning. Oh, time for the last fold on the focaccia. Alexa, stop timer. It's been about 5 minutes or so. I think this is a good time. We don't want to burn the garlic, and adding these peppers in will add moisture and keep them from getting burnt. But we do want to cook these peppers down a little bit, because these are going to be the hardest thing in the dish, and we don't really want them to be. Honestly, the bite you should get is these fresh tomatoes popping in your mouth. Now those are tasty. Now I'm going to stir this constantly for like 2 or 3 minutes. And then, I don't know what time it is. So, my wife's probably not going to be home from work for about an hour. I wanted to get most of this prepped before, so she didn't have to wait once she got home. So once this is about where it is, I'm going to turn this off and just let it sit. And I'll probably add a little bit more olive oil to it. And this oil that's going to go on the pasta now is just going to season that pasta so well. because it's just going to have all the flavors from everything we're putting in here. So when we started this, these mushrooms were so deep in here, they were falling out when I stirred. And as you can see, it's pretty low now. And that's just the peppers and mushrooms, shallots, and garlic. I think that's about where I need it to be. So I'm going to give it one last stir here. Yeah, the peppers are starting to get tender. So I'm going to turn this all the way off now. And I'm just going to let it sit. And honestly, I'm going to add a little more olive oil. So once I get all these coated again, let it sit. Spread it out nice and even. Alright, so once she gets home, it'll be time to eat dinner. I'll heat this back up. Once I get it sizzling again, we'll drop these tomatoes, tops of the green onions in. We'll toss them for maybe a minute at most. Pasta will be done. We'll throw it all in a bowl, toss it all together with some pesto, and we'll get this served up with the focaccia bread. Alright, it's almost dinner time. I've got this back up to temp. This here is my favorite pasta. I get it at Costco. It's just delicious. Alexa, set a pasta timer for 9 minutes. Alright, so I'll let all this get heated through all the way. Throw my green onions in there, and the tomato. And I have a little bit of avocado here as well, but that's not going to go in the heat. That's just going to get tossed in with the pasta at the end. So I'm only going to do this for a minute or two. We're going to serve this meal warm, but this makes a delicious cold meal as well. And since we're serving it warm, I'm just going to keep these tomatoes in here until they warm up a bit, so they're not cold. But if I was serving this cold, I would put the green onions in there first for a minute or two, toss the tomatoes in, and turn the heat off. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so I'm going to turn the heat all the way off now. And then once the pasta's done, I'm going to strain it, drop it in this bowl, put some pesto on it, and then add the vegetables. Pasta's done. Just going to make sure I shake it out as much as I can. I don't want any moisture in there, so I want the oil to stick to everything. So this pasta, it's got little ridges all through it. It's chewy. It is perfect for catching all the juices. So now, add some pesto in. Might have to add some more on the plate, but this will probably be good for now. See if it coats everything. So I probably will have to add some more pesto. My wife and kids love pesto. Thankfully, Costco has it for a pretty good price. Oh yeah, this is good. It is coating everything. So I'm gonna add some salt. There is no salt on here right now. I'm gonna add this avocado in. Dump all of this in. You want to scrape all that oil out because all that olive oil has some great flavor in it. No flavor left behind. Now we're just going to stir this up. Once this is stirred up, we'll plate it and dinner will be ready. I think we got about 5 more minutes until that bread's ready though. All right, so the bread's out of the oven. I did a garlic and then a cheesy one. Gotta get this butter spread out a little bit more on here. So here you go, some sauteed mushrooms with some pasta and a lot of vegetables. So this is a vegan meal, pretty easy to make at home, and really you just put whatever you want in it. So thank you for stopping by He's House, where the food is always fresh and the back deck is always open. I'll see you around.